just too big. Finally, Mr. Woodpecker came down and pecked a hole in the tree. Although it was a very small hole, it caused Mr. Woodpecker to get a bent beak. This meant he couldn't peck on the tree any longer. Mr. Coyote put one hand out the hole, but he could not fit through. Then he tried his leg, but still he could not fit through. He had to come up with a way to escape, since Mr. Woodpecker could no longer peck on the tree. Mr. Coyote knew there had to be a way. "Ah, come on, you ugly old tree," he cried. "Just let me out." But still, nothing happened, just a silence around him. Mr. Coyote decided to take off his arms, one at a time, and put them through the small hole. Then, he put his legs through, one at a time, by taking them off. He put his body through by taking it off. This was working out fine. "I'll show you, Mr. Tree. You can't keep me in here," he thought. Next, Mr. Coyote tried to put his head through the hole, but it was too big. His ears were in the way. So he took off his ears and put them through the hole. He again tried his head, but his eyes were too big. Mr. Coyote took off his eyes and put them through the hole. Mr. Raven saw the eyes and flew down to take them. Then Mr. Raven flew back up high in the tree with Mr. Coyote's eyes. They were such beautiful eyes, blue like the sky. And what a treasure it would be a treasure to put in his hiding spot. Mr. Coyote finally put his head through the hole. He then put himself back together, one piece at a time. He became a whole coyote again. But after he put his head on, he could not find his eyes. He was feeling all over. His eyes were listening to hear. His ears were listening to hear him touch his eyes, but not a sound could be heard from his eyes. His fingers were being careful while feeling around, but still no eyes were found. Mr. Coyote knew he could not let the animals know he was blind. He felt his way to a wild rose bush. Then he put 2 rose petals in for his eyes. This would cover the blindness for a little while, but he would have to keep looking for his eyes. Surely they were close by. Along came Mr. Snail, who saw Mr. Coyote with the rose petals in his eyes. He asked Mr. Coyote, "Why do you have those rose petals in your eyes?" Mr. Coyote said, "Because they are beautiful. They have lovely colors. You can try them on if you want, and I will hold your eyes." Mr. Snail took off his eyes. He put them into Mr. Coyote's hands and tried the rose petals in his eyes. Then Mr. Coyote put Mr. Snail's eyes into his head and ran off, with his long tail wagging. To this day, Mr. Snail is crawling with his head down, looking